Is this the best run and gun anamorphic setup? Let's find out.
I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize.
So recently I've been shooting a short TV series and we have a lot of shots to get through every single day. Now, the main thing I thought about is using zoom lenses because that speeds up the workflow, but I didn't want to use standard spherical lenses because I really wanted that anamorphic look. All the budget anamorphic lenses out there are usually prime lenses. Just before the shoot, Laowa has announced the 28-55 and 50-100 lenses. They're both t2.9 and they are Super 35. So having Super 35 lenses on a full frame camera might not seem like a good idea, but actually Lumix S52X has the APS-C crop. So basically it crops in onto the sensor and you still can get a 3.3K image. And also it shoots in 4:3 open gate aspect ratio. The open gate mode is actually fantastic because some of the clips that we are shooting on anamorphics will have to be cut down to vertical content as well. So the open gate 4:3 mode, once we de-squeeze the anamorphics, still allows us to have a decent vertical image from these lenses. Let's say you're shooting on camera like a Sony FX3 or FX6. Those cameras do actually have a 3:2 sensor, but actually Sony never allows you to use the full 3:2 sensor. It always is 16:9, which sucks for people that want to shoot anamorphic and they're using Sony. So I mean, that's a fantastic reason to switch to Lumix because they do actually allow you to shoot open gate full frame 3:2 in 6K with compatible lenses if you have full frame anamorphics. But if you do have the Super 35 lenses, then 3.3K open gate 4:3 is actually really good. It actually gives you a little bit of extra height. But overall, the main reason I really wanted to use these lenses on the shoot is because it's a 28-55 zoom lens. Usually budget anamorphics are prime lenses, which means if you're on a run and gun shoot and you quickly need to get a wider shot, we would need to swing lenses. So my camera system would have to bring me a new lens. We'll switch that. We would also have to recalibrate our wireless follow focus motor, which takes maybe 15 seconds each time. So once you combine all that time, every time switching lenses, recalibrating the motor, opening the case, putting back the lenses, taking new lenses, all that stuff takes time. And in a day that you have to keep shooting and have a lot of shots to get through, having zoom lenses and also, are anamorphic, so you get the lens flares. These specific lenses have amber flare, but Laowa also has a variety of options in regards to the flare colors, so you can have a look on their website. Overall, during the day, I was actually mostly using the 28-55 for the majority of the shoot. I would say around 85 to 90% of the shoot was actually done just on this lens, which is really fantastic. We don't have to switch lenses too often. And also a very cool thing about these lenses is you can get really close. Usually anamorphics allow you to get maybe like 1.5 meters away from the lens itself in terms of close focus, but these lenses actually can focus really close. So we were able to get really nice close-ups just with these lenses by themselves, and you can also zoom in to 55mm and you can still have the same focus plane because these lenses are also parafocal, so you can zoom in and your focus is still on point. But apart from that, I did put on the diopters every once in a while for some very cool and dramatic close-ups. So that worked out really well. The close focus on the 28-55 is at 0.45 meters. So under 0.5 meter, and that is counted from the sensor. And once you zoom into 55mm, it's actually very close. The close focus on the 50-100 is a bit further, but I mean, you can zoom in to 100mm, so it is still very good at 0.8 meters. I did notice a little bit of weird flaring on the 50-100. So when the lens was all the way zoomed in to 100mm and wide open and the light was coming from a specific angle, I did get some weird flares right in the center of the image, but I managed to get rid of those either by using a matte box or stopping it down and zooming slightly out. So Lumix cameras do have in-body image stabilization for anamorphic lenses specifically. Now the way you do it is you go into the menu, you change the settings into the 1.5x anamorphic squeeze for image stabilization. Because this is a zoom lens, the way I've done it here is I have programmed 6 different focal lengths from the 28-55 and 6 different other focal lengths from the 50-100. So for example, this lens is programmed to stabilize at 28mm, at 32, 37, and so on and so forth. Now let's talk about the other components I have around this setup. So the Lumix S5 IIX is put inside the Condor Blue camera cage. I usually put my S5 IIX into the SmallRig Black Mamba cage, but I noticed when I was on an easy rig and I hooked up my easy rig to the top handle, the cage itself wasn't really sturdy enough to hold the entire weight of the V-mount batteries, the lenses, and all this together with the transmitter. It just started to bend slightly. So that cage I really love. I love how ergonomic it is, but it is definitely not designed for this kind of a weight, especially with the top handle, because the SmallRig Black Mamba cage does have quite a thin metal on top. So I have switched from using the SmallRig cage to the Condor Blue cage because it's a lot more sturdy, has a lot more contact points, more screws, and just the metal of it is thicker. So that gives me more confidence in this entire setup. Now on top, I have a 8-sin top handle. This one is really important actually because it can move around. So I can unlock this top handle here and I can slide this up and down, which is fantastic when I put on the easy rig. That way I can actually balance my camera weight. Let's say I am shooting a low angle shot. I'll put the top handle rig all the way to the front. That way the camera is back heavy and it tilts up, and that just allows me to get an easier low angle shot. On the top handle, I have a SmallHD Cine 5 monitor. I've got it for this project specifically because it does have one very necessary feature when you're shooting on the Lumix S5 IIX mixed with anamorphic lenses. Now the issue I have when shooting on Lumix S5 IIX with anamorphic lenses, specifically in open gate mode, is you get a massive border around your image. So your 5-inch monitor will kind of become a 3-inch monitor, which is really not usable. So the solution to that is SmallHD, but I also seen a very similar feature on Portkeys monitors. SmallHD is doing really good work with cropping and de-squeezing the image at the same time. I can go into the crop settings and set a specific crop for my image, and it basically enlarges the entire video feed, and the anamorphic image is now full screen. But I've tried a lot of other monitors, FieldWorld, Atomos. They both can crop in, but not exactly the way you want it. They crop in too much. Whereas SmallHD, you can set it to the exact pixels you want to crop off, and it just fills the frame with your full anamorphic frame. The monitor is hooked up to the camera with all red HDMI cables. Now all red is the sponsor of today's video, but it's a cool sponsor because it's my own brand. I always was looking for red cables just to spice up the look of a camera. I don't want it all fully black, it's too boring for me. I like a little bit of red color on my cameras, so we came up with this idea to make red camera accessories, bringing you spicy red HDMI cables and magicams to make your setup just as red as the shot you capture. And to celebrate, we're doing something special. Grab any item from the store and you'll get a free magicam worth $35 to go with it. Just choose your color, toss it in your cart, and use the code EARLYRADBIRD at checkout. Hit the link down below to get started on your all red journey. If you are using a SmallHD monitor, together with a Lumix camera, there's actually one cool feature. If you turn on timecode and set it to free run, and check that the HDMI timecode output is turned on as well. Now on the monitor itself, we're going to add a new tool, go to overlays, and down to metadata, and add this to this page. Now if we open this up, we enable this and disable timecode, but turn on the recording function. Now if we press the record button on the camera, you're going to see a red record box on the screen. So without this option, you would not know that you're recording on your SmallHD monitor unless you turn on all the info display on your monitor, but then this monitor would get a little bit clunky with all the settings. So this is a really cool hack to have the red border showing you that you're actually recording. On the left side here, I have a video transmitter which is going to an iPad for the director to preview the shots, as well as my camera assist, and he's pulling focus on these lenses wirelessly from his SmallHD setup, and that works really well. So I usually have the Magic Fizz, that is the motor that just plugs into my V-mount battery via USB-C, and that is how he is pulling focus. It works really well. It comes with two motors, so I can actually hook it up to the zoom control as well as focus, so we can have really nice and smooth zooms done wirelessly as well by the camera assist. Now on both sides of the camera, I have SmallRig handles, and once I use this, I don't think I can go back, especially when I shoot on an easy rig. I hook it up here, and I hold the camera with the two handles, it allows me to get a smoother and a more precise shot. The handle on the right side is super easy to take off. It's just a NATO rail. It just clips in, you lock it in, and you're ready to go. It gives me some extra mounting points, so if I need to mount a light just for extra fill or an eye catch light. And the left side is a different type of handle. It also has some mounts. At the moment it has the transmitter mounted to the all-red monitor holder, so it just allows me to rotate it a bit. And it also has a bunch of other mounts, and this one actually can swivel. So if I'm getting a low angle shot, I usually would put this down like that, hold the top handle, and get a low angle shot a lot easier and a lot more comfortably. Now on the back we have the SmallRig 99 watt-hours battery. It is the Pro latest model, which has fast charging. I can charge it with USB-C. I don't need to bring a big V-mount battery charger, which is fantastic. And I actually end up using just 2 of these batteries during the day. I have one on standby charging as I'm using the other, and I just hot swap them. Once I finished using one, the other one is already fully charged. It charges really quick. So that is a really cool thing. It has 2 USB-C ports. One of them is usually plugged into my camera, so I don't have to switch out my battery of the Lumix S52X. It's just constantly getting powered by the V-mount via USB-C. So that's really good. The SmallRig Magic Fizz follow focus system, that's plugged in via USB-C. So that supplies it enough power to pull focus on these manual lenses. And on top of that, I have a D-tap going into a dummy battery on the SmallHD Cine 5. And this setup will pretty much last half a day. So I only end up using 2 batteries, maybe 3 batteries during the day, which is pretty decent timing. The next thing I'll probably upgrade on this setup is get a D-tap splitter. That way I can have more things plugged into it, and that just requires plugging in one D-tap cable and everything else can basically run off D-tap. And last but not least, we have the SmallRig tripod, which is really good for run and gun because it only has 1 latch per leg. So you don't have to undo the top one and the bottom one. You just undo one and both legs come out and in. So it's super quick and easy to use on a run and gun shoot. Down here, we also have SmallRig's quick release plates with rails, and this allows me to put extra lens support as well as a mount for my V-mount battery. So that is pretty much it. But there is one thing I forgot to mention, and that's the Viltrox PL to L mount adapter. And this adapter is basically allowing me to mount cinema lenses onto the Lumix camera. So lenses like these have a PL mount, and if you are going to be buying any sort of lenses, any cinema glass, I would definitely recommend PL mount. That is because there's so many cameras you can put those lenses onto with a simple adapter. Or if you're using bigger cameras like the ARRI Alexas, you can easily put a PL mount lens onto those as well. And also if you're planning to rent out your lenses, PL mount will be your best bet. Now just a little quick tip, if you are using an adapter, make sure to mount that to the bottom plate together with your camera, and try to use lens support if you are using bigger lenses. That will stop any sort of wiggle and movement within the lens, which will give you smoother focus throws. All right, thanks for watching the breakdown of my anamorphic setup. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and I'll see you next time.